What is going on, Red Sox fans, and welcome back to another episode of Into the Triangle. Now, I did promise you guys earlier in my episode recapping the Rays series that I would do a draft first night recap. I won't be doing any sort of, second or third day recaps because I'm not, enough into the MLB draft and into college baseball to really break down, the 16th round pick of the Red Sox. But I am into the Red Sox enough to break down their first four picks tonight in the three rounds of the MLB draft on day one. I took some notes on a lot of these guys, some very general thoughts. And like I just said, I'm not a big college baseball guy. So all of these things I'm reporting from different scouts, different scouting reports, different kind of breakdowns on their prospect status and all that. And so once again, this is not necessarily my takes on them. These are what I've gathered from reading about them and kind of looking into them a bit more. And at the end of the day, I'll give my thoughts on this. Not so much like a grade, because once again, I don't know like, oh, I wish I retook this player over that player because I'm just not into the draft that much. But I will give my thoughts on what I think this means for the Red Sox system, whether I liked what Craig Breslow's clear kind of direction was. And yeah, we'll see what goes on. Now, obviously, this is Craig Breslow's second draft as the head of the Red Sox last year. And really, the last few years, they've gotten guys who have been seen as players that kind of fell down the board with Kyle Teal, Braden Montgomery, two guys who, college players who a lot of people thought could go in the top 10, end up falling to the Red Sox in the teens. That happened again this year. The Red Sox, with the 15th pick, select 20-year-old right-hander out of Oklahoma, Kyson Witherspoon, 6'2", 206. Just some brief notes here. I'm going to be reading off this little sheet of paper that I have. A 2.65 ERA, 95 innings pitched, and 124 strikeouts in his last season. So that would have been his sophomore year because, he's only 20 years old. Dylan Cease comparisons on ESPN. However, they said that the command isn't there. They compared his delivery and arsenal to Dylan Cease, but they said the command isn't there. He was the 10th prospect according to MLB Pipeline in this draft. The Red Sox get him at 15. So once again, another type of those players that kind of falls down the board, except the last 2 years it's been position players. This time, Craig Breslow, kind of a known pitching guru, a guy that likes to target pitching. He went for the pitcher here that fell down the board. Four plus pitches. I'm not saying this. He has four plus pitches. I'm saying he has four quality pitches according to MLB Pipeline. His fastball, his curveball, his slider, and his cutter. His fastball specifically can touch 99 miles an hour. On the draft coverage today, they said specifically that he does not walk many. He was among the fewest walks in the country of the top end starters in this draft. And Dan O'Dowd specifically was raving about Witherspoon as a guy who he thought had a lot of upside and perhaps more upside than some of the pitchers picked at the top of this draft, other college pitchers. Um, so, my take on Witherspoon is it makes a lot of sense considering, the Red Sox were originally kind of tied to Gage Wood. Obviously they probably weren't expecting Witherspoon to fall like this. The top end of this draft was a little bit funky. You have the shortstop going to the Nationals. You have the all these teams kind of picking under slot. The Angels went under slot as well. And that kind of allows the top end guys to fall a little bit down the draft board. So Witherspoon ends up slipping to the Red Sox. Craig Breslow hops all over it. We know that Craig Breslow really highly values swing and miss in the zone. That's something that Craig Breslow really tries to find. And I know that kind of sounds weird to some people. Essentially, swing and miss in the zone means like, hey, like throw strikes, but make them miss bats. So like, hey, we want to throw this pitch so that it just clips the zone here. So it's still a strike, but we also want it to be enough so that it can miss bats and your stuff is good enough. Kyson Witherspoon seemingly has that in him, 95 innings pitched, 124 strikeouts, a 2.65 ERA. The fastball's there. They like his curveball, his cutter. He has a five-pitch mix. Now, they did say curveball, slider, cutter is a bit unusual for the majors as a pitch mix. So they said that the Red Sox might end up nixing one of those. And, does not walk many, touching 99. I think that kind of seems just like the guy that the Red Sox want. Now, I do know typically Craig Breslow does like kind of bigger pitchers. So to see him go 6'2", 206 on a guy is interesting. But regardless, I think this is a good pick, all things considered. Um, you get a guy who was not expected to be there for you, a guy who a lot of teams see as a potential top end arm. Some scouts were saying that his ceiling, his absolute ceiling, is perhaps an elite starter in the league. Now, does that mean ace? Does that mean elite number two? That's remained to be seen, but we know that the ceiling is there. Witherspoon's a guy who has obvious stuff to work with, and a lot of it's already there. He does not walk many. Craig Breslow is going to love that. And another interesting thing is, I believe ESPN listed him as one of the 12 players that you could see realistically in 2026. So it's going to be interesting to keep in mind, like, hey, if he has a good year this year in the minors, when he does come in and starts to work on that stuff, could he perhaps slip into spring training and impress enough? Maybe not so much that he earns an opening day spot, but to the point where maybe he's up in June or July with the big league roster, and we'll see how that impacts the Red Sox approach this offseason, perhaps attacking pitchers as well. If they see him as a guy that could come up, is that going to play into Craig Breslow's, kind of approach this offseason as far as it goes for bringing in pitching, established pitching? Maybe he says, hey, we got this guy that he's not walking many, he's throwing 99 in the minors, and we picked him with our first round pick last year. We picked him over slot, so you had to we pay him a hefty bonus there. We're gonna roll this guy out. We'll see if that happens. And I like the pick. I think Anderson Witherspoon is a good prospect, and I'm excited to see how he fares in the Red Sox system as early as this year. With the 33rd pick, this was the competitive balance pick that was acquired for Quinn Priester from the Milwaukee Brewers. They took Tennessee right-hander Marcus Phillips, 20 years old, 6'4", 246. This was an underslot pick that will come into play later. I'll talk about that. Last year, a 3.90 ERA, 83 innings pitched, 98 strikeouts, 34 walks. So you can see there clearly, 98 strikeouts, 34 walks, not a terrific strikeout to walk ratio. That's like a 3 strikeout to walk ratio. For instance, I believe Witherspoon had like a 5.5 strikeout to walk ratio. So not great there, but you can kind of see where that comes in and why they might have taken a shot on this guy a little earlier in the draft. His fastball is consistently high 90s, 98, 99, and even got up to 101 last year for Tennessee. Mid 90s slider and a plus changeup. 61st prospect according to Pipeline. The big thing I'm seeing here for Phillips is a lot of people say that his delivery, his arm slot is going to need a lot of work as far as making that fastball more competitive. That fastball, they say that the angle that it takes, and it's very flat and very easy to read. He did get swing and miss on it in college because it's going at 101, 100 sometimes, and that's obviously very fast. But in the minors, in the majors, it's not like that. There are going to be guys, hey, if that 101 fastball is flat as a pancake, they're going to swing and they'll probably hit it very far. So that's worth noting. And we'll see how his delivery is going to be messed with this year in the minors. Even though he's a college guy, 20 years old, I do realistically expect this guy to be a guy that does not come into play for a little bit. Now, how long is that? I'm not saying it's like a 5-year down the road high school type pick, but hey, does this guy factor in as a reliever? Like, how do they see him? How are they going to work him? What are they going to add to his arsenal, subtract? A lot of this guy is much more of a piece of clay rather than Witherspoon, who's already like a brick. You know what I mean? Witherspoon is baked. You have a very clear outline of what he's going to be, and now you just have to let him go. And eventually he's going to be good enough to get up to the majors. For Phillips, it's like, okay, well, how do we want to mess with his arm slot? How do we want to mess with his delivery, his control? How are we going to get that under, and nice and manageable? The walks have to come down. We're going to see how that all works out. And Phillips is an interesting name under slot. At the end of the day, when you already get your first pitcher, this pitcher I think has a little bit less importance. I think it's okay to take a flyer on a guy who you think, hey, he is 101. And not a lot of guys have that. And he's from Tennessee. We know what Garrett Crochet looks like. He's from Tennessee. Hey, we like how they work their pitchers over there. We're going to take another shot on a guy. Interesting to see. And I did see that his fastball is consistently in the zone. Now that's another good thing. Hey, high velo, good stuff in the zone. Question is, hey, is it in the zone because it's straight and flat? Is it in the zone because he's dotting the corners? Like that's the stuff I don't know because I don't really in depth watch college baseball. But we'll see how it all pans out for him. And ultimately, I like the swing. I like the swing. And you for these guys where you're projecting raw tools are always good. Raw tools are always nice. And hey, like if you have one clear strength, it makes it so much easier to build around. Like for instance, if a guy coming up from high school, hey, he's kind of raw, he doesn't have anything, but his contact tool is a 70. Okay, well, if or even a 65, it's like, okay, well, that is the clear piece that we have to work with, and we are just going to kind of mold this player around his contact. Or hell, even if he's really fast and has a good glove, you could say, well, if we can just get the bat to like 240, 250, now all of a sudden he's a plus pro player. So we're going to see how the Red Sox decide to mold Marcus Phillips into the true image that they want him to be. And ultimately, I kind of trust Craig Breslow after seeing what he's done with Peyton Tolley and all those guys, those kind of big velo pitchers. This is a big boy, 6'4", 246. This is a fella right here, and he's going to be able to really stand on that mound and be menacing and kind of a similar build to Peyton Tolley, who has so far been a kind of developmental success story for Craig Breslow and this pitching staff, which kind of has come under a little bit of scrutiny, especially at the minor league level, for developing pitching talent early on. With the 75th pick, the Red Sox select Henry Godbout, shortstop out of Virginia, 21 years old, 6'2", 190. This year in college, he had a 309, a 397, 309 batting average, 397 on base, 497 slug. That's good enough for an 895 OPS, 8 home runs, 37 RBIs. So you're saying, hey, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good guy. Now, last year, I saw some people on Twitter saying, well, like he had a good year, but this year is actually kind of a down year for him. And I was like, how is that possible? This is a pretty good year, all things considered, even if it is just college baseball. Last year, 372 batting average, a 472 on base, 645 slug, and a 1.117 OPS, 9 home runs, 47 RBIs. So that's where you see, okay, yeah, this guy had a down year last year, and that maybe explains why he failed. Because if he's coming off of that last year, okay, a 1,000 OPS shortstop is an interesting thing to have. 55 hit tool, that's his best tool. Everything else seems kind of very flat across the board. Not bad, but not great either. Like I said, it does kind of help to build a player if you know one clear strength and one thing that they clearly do better than everybody else. But at the same time, it does not hurt to take a college player who kind of does everything okay, because organizational depth, especially in the third round, never hurts. And who knows? Hey, you take a swing on this guy, maybe he develops a little bit of a hit tool more, or he becomes a really good glove, and all of a sudden he's at the major league level. And whether he's a bench guy or a guy who's getting games every couple days, you'll take that. You'll take that out of this third round pick. Just a couple like intangibles I've seen in him. People say he's extremely high IQ, which hey, once again, never hurts. Having a high IQ guy in the minors is always great for development. And hey, like how much easier does it make it to develop this guy if he knows the game of baseball so well, better than most players his age? That definitely comes into account. Steady hitter, people say he's just very consistent, very, he's not going to surprise you. He's not going to wow you. He's not going to hit a ball 500 feet to dead center. He's not going to hit 4 for 5 every game and just be a contact monster. But hey, he'll give you 2 for 5 with a double. Like that's the type of guy he is. He's just going to be steady, consistent, not wow you, but not be bad either. Low chase rate, which is big. This Red Sox team, as we know, in the majors and in the minors, a lot of chase, a lot of swing. This guy does not chase a lot, and the 72nd rank on Pipeline. So a guy who is frankly slot value. Godbout, it's tough to feel excited about this pick. It's tough to feel like, oh, this guy could be a future star because, I mean, the tools just don't seem to be there. Now, are the tools there for the world where he could be a good player, a solid player, a major league contributor? Sure. But I don't think this is the type where it's going to be like, oh, if this guy can come along, We're talking multi-time All-Star, MVP contender. It's not that type of pick to get excited about, but a steady, safe pick is never a bad thing, in my opinion. So, hey, be cool. Take your shot. And the last guy of the draft, Anthony Ianson or Anson, right-handed pitcher out of LSU, 20 years old, 6'2", 208. So interesting for college guys. That's kind of different from the Heim Bloom approach of things where, hey, Heim liked to take a lot of high school guys. You remember like there were like 3 years in a row where they took high school infielders in the first round. Heim liked to do that. And now four college guys and three pitchers. You could see that difference in approach from Craig Breslow as far as it goes for his draft strategy. And Ianson is the guy that really had a lot of fans excited at the end of the night. A 3.00 ERA last year, 108 innings pitched, 152 strikeouts, which was good enough for third in all of college baseball, 36 walks. His fastball sits 93 to 97, but his slider is like elite, like plus plus slider. So that is exciting. He misses a lot of bats. Like I said, number three in strikeouts, but also number three in wins. Obviously, this was an LSU team that was very dominant, won the College World Series. His teammate Cade Anderson got picked third overall and already agreed to his signing bonus with the Mariners. Um, so this is a guy who has a winning DNA, is from a successful pitching factory in LSU. And according to Pipeline, they said his ceiling is realistically a solid number three, but they also see a world where he projects to be a reliever that relies heavily on breaking stuff, which, man, if he's a good reliever, I'll take that too. But I want to see what Craig Breslow can work with this guy. One problem I saw with MLB The Show is he nibbles at the plate too much, which is kind of the adverse of Craig Breslow. Um, Misses bats, but maybe he's a little too nitpicky around the plate, trying to steal strikes or trying to steal swings when maybe guys just aren't swinging. So I think like if he can really start to be aggressive, utilize that slider and that fastball mix. His slider is like mid 80s. Fastball can get up to 98, I believe I saw, but consistently it's 93 to 97. Um, this is a guy who I think, once again, piece of clay for Craig Breslow. You have that clear slider. You have a guy who had a lot of success in college, fell a lot. I mean, this was a guy who was a big time overslot pick. When we talked about Marcus Phillips being underslot earlier, Anson was the 40th ranked prospect according to Pipeline. So he falls to the 80s. That Marcus Phillips pick being underslot probably allows you to compensate for that bonus in some way. I like what Anson has to offer. I mean, you look at the pitches, he's filthy. He just has to become more confident and more consistent, kind of being aggressive in that zone and throwing strikes. And obviously, when you see 152 strikeouts, you might be saying, what are you talking about? But hey, like in college, a filthy slider outside the zone is going to get swung on at a rate that's much higher than a filthy slider thrown outside the zone in the MLB. Because, hey, everybody's filthy in the MLB. Everybody has gross stuff, and these hitters, they know what's a ball and what's a strike, and they are very good at taking pitches and reading pitches. So it's going to be interesting to see how Anson develops, whether the Red Sox say, hey, you know what, we want you to kind of prioritize being an elite kind of back end bullpen arm. I assume that they'll probably want him to try as a starter first and see how it goes. But at the end of the day, I don't imagine Craig Breslow would be reluctant to say, you know what, starter isn't just working. We're going to have you lean into that slider, lean into that fastball, and just be an elite reliever for us. And hey, that's how you're going to make your impact at the big league level. Ultimately, I wouldn't hate it, but you're seeing the approach from Breslow this year in the draft. Three college pitchers who all have either one or two dominant pitches that can throw strikes, and especially the first two with Witherspoon and Phillips, guys that throw pitches in the zone, throw strikes that miss bats. That is what Craig Breslow values, and I think especially with Witherspoon, that's what you're going to get. And I think he makes the pitching. This first four picks makes the pitching infrastructure, especially in the minors, so much better. It's so much stronger for this team. Where originally it's just kind of like, hey, we have Connolly early and Peyton Tolley. That's what we have, and that's what we're going to roll with. And we're just going to hope that those guys come along. We have Brandon Clark way down the road. Those guys are going to come out. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking about Kyson Witherspoon is probably going to come in as your number two. I don't know. I don't know how Tolley and Witherspoon are going to be compared. Toley, as if you are locked in, is on an absolute heater right now. Go research some Peyton Toley in the Red Sox system if you don't know what is up with him. And I'm interested to see what Witherspoon does and where he starts. I'm interested to see where Phillips kind of starts off in the system and Anson. Like, are these guys going to be? I mean, obviously Witherspoon, he might end up being the number one prospect in the system once Anthony graduates and Meyer graduate. I'm interested to see where Ainson kind of lines up. God, about all these guys. It's gonna be interesting to see. I like the approach to the draft. I think the infrastructure in the minors for pitching was very weak. And I just like strengthening that and hoping, giving Craig Breslow, Andrew Bailey, and these other pitching gurus that he's brought in guys to work with and guys to mold and hopefully be impact players at the big league level sooner rather than later, given that they're all college guys. So very interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on the draft in the comments below. Any opinions on any of the guys that I maybe didn't mention, or your thoughts on the approach? Did you maybe want to see more position players, more kind of high upside high school picks? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys, frankly, probably in a little bit, because I probably won't be doing any videos for the All-Star break, assuming that no trades or anything happen during that. So I'll probably see you at the end of the Cubs series, which will be in about a week. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you. I'll see you then. Enjoy your All-Star break and kick back and relax a little bit. Peace out.